MLW brought 40 men to Los Angeles for Battle Riot VII and still couldn't make it feel like a big deal. Now, the show had its moments, but most of the card felt like it was just there. No urgency, no fire, just a bunch of matches that didn't move the needle. Now, let me break it down match by match, and you'll see why this one missed the mark. The night kicked off with a 6-man tag with Atlantis Jr., and Star Jr. taking on Barbaro Cavernario, Magnus, and Ultimo Guerrero. Now, Atlantis got the win after pinning Magnus with a frog splash, and while the match was decent for an opener, it didn't do much beyond that. Now, the crowd gave it some energy, mainly your usual lucha chants here and there, and Star Jr. had a cool front flip to the outside during the finish, and Guerrero was messing with Atlantis' mask that got some heat, but that was just about it. I thought it was a fine way to start, but just not memorable. I gave this one 2.25 stars. Next up was Janai Kai taking on Himawari, and Kai picked up the win with a roundhouse kick. And I'll be real, this was slightly better than I expected. Now, the styles didn't fully click, but they gave it a good effort. Himawari keeps showing signs of improvement, and there were a couple of solid near falls. Now, it wasn't a standout by any means, but it was watchable. This one also gets 2.25 stars. Then we had a triple threat match between Hechicero, Esfinche, and Templario. Now, this was supposed to be Templario versus Mistico for the middleweight title, but Mistico is currently injured. So instead, Mistico watched from the crowd while Templario submitted Hechicero to win this match. Now, look, the work in this match was technically fine, but it just didn't feel like anything. No stakes, no urgency. It felt like a replacement match with no real story and basically just something just to fill in a title match slot. So in this case, this match just needed to hit way harder than what I saw here. I pretty much gave this 3 stars. Now afterwards, Mistico handed over the middleweight title to Cesar Duran. And bro, I couldn't help but laugh at this, because Mistico barely ever loses. So seeing him give up the belt like that, especially when the match didn't even happen, just felt what is this? Then afterwards, Akira Kwan came up and read Mr. Duran after Mistico handed the belt over. So I guess Akira Kwan is in possession of the middleweight title. So I really don't know what to make of any of this, but yeah, there you go. Delmi Exo versus Shoko Nakajima for the women's featherweight title was pretty much the low point of the night here. Now, Nakajima won with a top rope senton, but the match itself was just straight up bad in my opinion. Delmi in particular, she looked out of sync from the jump. She looked slower, off her timing, and at one point she threw Nakajima with a side breaker that pretty much made me wince here. Because when Delmi tossed Nakajima landed right on her head. Now, I've seen better from Delmi, so I'm not going to say that she's washed or anything, but this was not a good showing. Also, all this happening, it's pretty wild that Nakajima actually won the belt here, because Delmi Exo just won the belt a few months ago from Janai Kai in a long-standing rivalry. And now she drops it on this show. But overall, I gave this one 1.5 star. Just not a good night. Now on to the big one. The 40-man Battle Riot match for the MLW World Heavyweight title. Now Matt Riddle retained the belt by shoving RVD off the top rope when RVD was trying to go for a 5-star frog splash. And that may sound cool on paper, but in reality, the finish just felt completely flat to me. I was actually hoping for a real standoff or at least a dramatic final stretch, but nah, it ended just like that. Now, the match started off pretty enjoyable if you ask me. There was good rhythm early on, and the suspense of not knowing who was entering next kept things a little bit moving here. Now, RVD's entrance got one of the bigger reactions of the night. Also, Hammerstone returned as well. But once Paul Walter Hauser came out with the weapons and whatnot, it went from Riot to ridiculous real fast, and not in a good way. I thought the match slowed everything down, and it felt forced at that point, like they were trying too hard to be different when the match didn't need it. Now, it did settle back down afterwards, but by the end, I was just ready for the match just to be over at that point. And there wasn't really no huge surprises outside of Hammerstone and RVD showing up. And overall, I gave this one 3.25 stars. So here's the bottom line. MLW Battle Riot VII just didn't deliver. This is supposed to be one of the biggest shows of the year, and they ran this in LA. They loaded up the card with a 40-man main event, and still, the show just felt empty to me. Not horrible, just empty. The main event had some moments, but nothing else on the card came close to helping it out. The women's title match was rough. The triple threat felt like a placeholder, obviously. And the crowd never got a chance to come alive, partly because possibly the production made them sound dead. I'm pretty much giving this a 5.75 out of 10, and I honestly can't recommend this. If you enjoyed this review, go ahead and hit that like, hit that subscribe, and share this video out with your friends. And for that, I'll see you guys later.